let's move to our second topic, a decade journey to safeguard Pakistan's marine ecosystems and small-scale fisheries. We're going to listen to an interesting talk from Mr. Shoaib Abdul Razzaque.
Yeah, all right, thanks. I hope you can hear me. Otherwise, please interrupt. Yeah. Well, good afternoon and early morning, wherever you are. My name is Shoaib, and I'm working in the capacity of Marine Coordinator, and I have a lot of another, cross-cutting hats, invisible hats that comes into my responsibility. So in this talk, within the next 10 minutes, I'm going to take you through how the experiences that, how it is crucial to have participatory approach while working with the fisheries communities, and what are those positive outcomes. In addition to that, since it is based on my story, so I just added a few slides. So I'm going to take you to a mini tour how we started and stepping into the marine environment. All right. Oh, sorry. I think, wait, here it is. All right. So first of all, when I was in university, I just joined one of the scientists who were, on the ship for the observation. I joined them there in 2011. In 2012, I joined WWF as a research assistant on a vessel where we supposed, to collect biological, environmental, and chemical data. And then that journey started while working with the communities, and then, sometimes we had the opportunity to work with the monitoring of electronic monitoring and EIS units as well. We used to, to work with the fishery communities by implementing bycatch reduction tools, such as, light sticks. And I have been involved in rescuing of ETP species, endangered, protected, and threatened species, which includes dolphins and rescuing the marine turtles. I have been engaged in conducting blue workshops for conducting turtle watch activities, where we have developed SOPs by conducting them with the control environment by using red lights. And then I have been involved in supporting some of our partners, PhD students, for the sampling of mobilids, tissue samples, and I've been involved in it to support some other partners for collecting tissue samples of tuna and tuna-like species, engaged in the surveys for spotting the dolphins. I've been engaged in working closer with the communities. If you look at the left picture, you can see my fits are muddy, that we had to, to go and meet those remote communities as well. A picture in the mid is that I've been involved in conducting surveys for around the marine protected areas, engaged in the data collection and training the government officers as well in the data collection and reporting. I've been engaged in the regional countries, scientists, specifically for Arabian Humpback Network. I've been engaged in delivering lectures in the universities and with a range of audiences, and ultimately those whatever I was doing, I used to, to got the opportunity to present my work at the regional level as well. Anyhow, comes now a story that Pakistan's marine ecosystem and fisheries coastal ecosystem, the challenges being faced by fishing communities and the marine biodiversity. When you look at the Pakistan's easy exclusive economical zone, which is almost like 20% of Indian Oceans, where we have good vegetation of the 4 species of the mangroves. We have 36 species of hard and soft corals, and we do have more than 12,000 species, marine species. We do have ideally we do have one only green turtles nesting site here, but what was the outcome of working with the fishermen, I'm going to mention in the next slides. And we have good population of the mobilids here as well. Say these are their fishing grounds or hotspots. We do have dedicated hotspot of basking of the whale sharks as well. We do have 7 to 8 species of tuna, then 144 species of sharks as well. We do have some hotspots for the whales within our waters as well. So the question is, comes there that, why we need to work for the conservation of megafauna species or ETP species. Since, what I'm going to talk and emphasize in taking case studies as well. So basically, this is a graph where some of the fishermen reported us on the reporting of entanglement of ETP species, which includes marine turtles, mobilites, whale sharks, and dolphins as well. And Pakistan is supposed, to report back to regional fisheries organization on 5x5 grade, which is represented in the orange color. So hypothetically speaking, that the tuna fisheries, the fishermen use around on average 15-kilometer nets, and there are around 709 fishing boats. For example, if 5% of those tuna fishing fleet, if they fish in one day, it looked like this dotted line. It would be a wall of death for all those megafauna species, which keep migrating from one ocean to another ocean. So which means that there would be a lot of challenges for them. For example, they would be it would result into overfishing. It could get the bycatch of the treasure sharks, entanglement of the mobilites, and sometimes they get entangled in the ropes as well, and sometimes they get entanglement in the whole net as well. Or otherwise they be towed down to the coastline, and sometimes you can see that the rolling and bycatch of the whales, and ultimately the dolphins as well, and sea turtles could entangle in the fishing lines, and sometimes in the ghost gears as well, and ultimately in the tuna fishing nets as well. So why we need to take, consider, the conservation of ETP species. This is basically the picture which is posted by CITES some times ago in 2018, which it says that, this picture that it shows that it is composed of many pixels, which is pixelated, which represent the number of individuals in the world. So it means that that situation of the sea turtle, for example, is not as good as it's supposed to be naturally, which is included or declared as a endangered in the red list as well, since it is CMS species as well, which is a highly migratory species. So every coastal state is supposed to work for their conservation and establish their or improve their data collection and mechanism. Let's take an example that why we need to take care of the sea turtles. We consider them as flagship species when there is, for example, if there is a green turtle, so which feeds on the vegetation of the sea. They keep limiting the growth of the vegetation of the sea, allowing the seaside animals to grow there. So there is a competition for food and shelter. They get an opportunity to live there and sharing the same shelter. Ultimately, what happens? The other species come around. For example, sharks as a ketone species, or sometimes socially important fisheries as well. Ultimately, what happens, what I'm trying to depict here is that all these food waves or food chains are being supported by the flagship species, which are green turtles. And what happens is that's the reason that they have their ecological, economical, not direct but long-term results for the humans. Just taking a few, case studies. What happens? So scenario was set after the scenario. Situation is worse, and especially for the conservation of the turtles. What happens? We came up with by outreaching the fishermen. We work with more than 100 fishermen, and our outreach to coastal fisheries was more than 610 as well for outreaching them for the ultimately for the post-harvest losses and safe handling and releases of bycatches and overfishing sessions as well. And here we come with an idea. We train 20 fishermen as a master trainer for the community who are responsible for conducting the same trainings to the youth as well. So ultimately we made a good use of the fishing communities itself as well. Along with parallelly, we came up, we work with the fishermen closely by, conducting sessions with them for the data collection and reporting, creating situational scenarios to ensure that, all those data sheets or log sheets which are being given to them, they do understand it. And what happened? And then we work with these fishermen. I'm not sure if this video is going to work here, but I was trying to show is that, we used to work. All right. So while working with this fishermen, this is, the previous practices that, turtle used to, to hold up on the hauler net without, considering its significance or importance or their conservation. Ultimately, for the fishermen, anything is valuable, which comes in form of fish or bring them, some money. So this is, they used to do like, mishandling the turtle. They were taking care of their catches, which was more valuable for them as compared to the turtle, which is not anything which can fetch money for them. And they used, to handle it and throw it in the water without any brutally. I mean, what happened? We trained the fishermen, and then they will be, trained, how to engage, interact with the turtle. What are those things we do's and don'ts? How you're supposed to, to handle it? And they started, collecting data for us for their, for the species, and by recording their length frequencies as well. So basically, this is, and we have advised them that this is the way how the turtle should be, handled while facing that, the sea at 45 angle. So this is, interestingly, in the footage, you see that, it was olive ridley, which is found in the Pakistani waters as a foraging ground. And in this, you can see that, the baby turtles of the green turtle have been found in the offshore waters. There was perception that maybe in Pakistan doesn't have olive ridley turtles after 1990s. They never used, to visit Pakistani beaches for the nesting. And now this is confirmed that, okay, these species are already there, but, they are not visiting Pakistani beaches. What happens? Because of their data collection and mechanisms, so this is the data of, those early years, which shows that, there's a bycatch of olive ridley and green turtle as well. And it confirmed that, most of the, turtles which were green were undersized, means they were, sub-adults, and all the olive ridleys were, adult turtles. At the same time that, we have came up with data of, understanding that, the black hole, which was, a black hole of the information from tuna fishery, that, okay, there is a bycatch of the dolphins as well. Ultimately, what happens, in 2015, we came up with an idea, like in here, how the, citizen science can work. That, the idea came up from one of the fishermen from the Western coast. They used to target yellowfin tuna. And after discussion, they came up that, they have been used in the past, like, lowering their nets, which we call them as a subsurface gear. And thanks to the fishermen, they helped us, to demonstrate it, and it turned to be, a really one of the, low-cost technology for reducing the bycatch. And the significance of this technique is that it is adopted by Indian Ocean Tuna Commission as alternative mechanism by engaging the crews for the data collection and subsurface as a conservation management measures as a low-cost technology for reducing bycatch, especially for the turtles and dolphins. This is how it works. To give you the differences. So for the fishermen, the target catch is yellowfin tuna, longtail, and skipjack. So what happens in the subsurface gear, that those animals, ATP species, which breach on the surface for the breathing, they get a chance, to escape the net and, avoid the entanglement. Ultimately, what happened, it resulted like, we have been noticed that, there was a reduction in number of, in mortality of the dolphins. Similarly, the question is being raised that maybe the fishermen are exaggerating the data, but, we have installed some technologies, CCTV camera, to confirm and validate all those data they have been collecting. So in this slide, you can see that, on the left arrow, it shows that that's the main line of the gear. And that the second row shows the extension of their the gear, which is then around 2 meters. At the same time, like we have been monitoring some other videos as well. We can see that on the left picture, if you see it between those fishermen, if I could be able to highlight it here, it is basically it is a turtle. And this is in this picture shows that how it's supposed to, the fishermen, started, handling it by, grabbing it from the sides and release it back into the water. Sorry. Ultimately, what happened to this, safe handling release, which was a product of that project. So till date, from 2012 to 19, they have been able to, to rescue and release around 110 whale sharks, 19 mobiles, 82 sunfishes, and 9 dolphins, 1 porpoise, 5 whales, and a lot of, sea turtles as well. And by coming that with that idea, we have documented these, safe handling and releases that we have developed it for the small-scale fisheries for Indian Ocean fisheries, which includes a range of species like safe handling and releases of the dolphins, of the sunfishes, mobulids, sea turtles, birds, sawfish, and whale sharks as well. This is what I'm trying to show, that these are a few steps which are a part of this guidebook, which emphasizes on data collection and reporting of such kind of events, like collecting that GPS coordinates, recording or those filming those safe handling of releases, collecting the data, and ensuring that to look after if that species have been do have any tagging, satellite tag or flipper tags as well. This is one of those things that we have been motivated in acknowledging the fishermen at our regional meetings by as a token of appreciation for those who have been enthusiastic for data collection and reporting of species, including the bycatch, safe handling of releases. In conclusion, what happens, so this is heartening to feel that these fishermen that nowadays we do receive some of those news is, or maybe about the bycatches. So if you can see in the left picture, these are one of those voluntary fishermen which keep sending us such kind of events about a stranding of the whales, and sometimes they voluntarily do show us, send us. And so exactly, this is a video. I'm not sure if it's going to work. So they keep sending us that the videos of their safe handling of releases. They are we're not paying them anything, but they are voluntarily just sending us such as reporting us back about such kind of events as well. What happens, in conclusion, working with these fishermen, we build the trust with them, and there is the most important thing is that there is a social behavioral change while treating this kind of ETP species. In addition to that, we do have length frequency of those species which are being caught in tuna fisheries, of tuna species, tuna-like species, and other bycatch species as well. And we do have this message is being rebounded of safe handling and release of the animals, which is again one of those the changes which is happening within the fishermen as well. Well, through this data, whatever the data is being collected, verified, and being communicated to the government of Pakistan, which ultimately reported it back to the IUTC, which is Regional Fishing Organization, which helped Pakistan as a country, to increase their compliance of reporting back, to species level from their fishing tuna fisheries. It increased from 5% to almost 60%. So the outlook and scaling up of these, so we do look, for scaling up of these best practices. And at the moment, I'm looking at those 2 projects, we're engaging with the coastal fisheries. And at one, we are trying to improve the fishing techniques by converting gill nets into the long lines. At the same time, there's another project we are looking for the assessment of bycatch of cetaceans from coastal fisheries as well. So these 2 projects are being based on these all those experiences that we had before. Ultimately, we're trying to so this is the outlook. We are trying to move up from traditional paper-based logbooks into the digital ones. The application is developed, and it is under trial as well, which includes an additional points. And it includes all those minimum requirements which are required for Pakistan itself and for the reporting to the regional fisheries organizations. And at the same time, we came up with the idea of prototyping. So this is what we have done it with the Oxford University professionals. So we tested it that since it was one of the major constraints, like coastal states, they never report back the species catches to species level, but rather they report it back into categories. So we come up with the use of artificial technology and machine learning, and we've been able to work with to train the machine by identifying underwater sharks based on their unique characteristics. So this is something which is we are looking to develop it and test it in the real world as well. So this is basically the idea, to developing a software which you can scan the species from the heap, It could give you, that all those, timestamps, and, it could give you that, all those, required information like which were the detected parts of the species, what is the length of it, and total number of the individuals. So this is going to be one of my final slides. So what we are trying to do, all this conservation efforts being done, is just because we want to go and we want our oceans to look like in the second pictures. Although it is horrifying as compared to the last one, which is more horrifying, where there's no any sharks or no any species. Well, in line with that, I would love to acknowledge all these, our donors, Jeff, Common Oceans, FAO, Shark Conservation Fund, ITC, Anglo Foundation, and Oxford University and Shellfish Technology. Through their career funding support, we were able to, to outreach our fishermen, and special thanks to the fishermen who had the trust in us and allowed us, to trial and work with them, to have such kind of positive outcomes. And ultimately, by the end of the day, it is always possible together. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Razzaque. Vivid pictures and so inspirational with your journey.